On the way forward with the EFF leader Julius Malema's corruption trial. And we say a very good morning to Chriselda Lewis, our reporter on the ground. A very good morning to you, Chriselda.
Well, a very good morning to Elvis.
Can you tell us what is the latest on the ground? There was a number of arguments putting forward by both sides this morning.
Well, Elvis, really startling revelations inside this court this morning. We're seeing the lawyers representing Julius Malema as well as the other accused in this matter, Lesiba Gwangwa, calling for this matter to be struck off the roll. Essentially, what the lawyers of those two accused are saying is that their clients have been prejudiced long enough, and that this matter needs to get underway. Also very startling as well is a call for a warrant for arrest for the accused relating to where we are at this point. You would recall Kagisho Dichabe is in hospital at the moment, and his lawyers had brought through a medical certificate indicating that he'd been in hospital since the end of July. And the lawyers representing Julius Malema as well as Lesiba Gwangwa are saying there's no guarantee at this stage at all when Kagisho Dichabe will be able to make his way to this court. They're saying if the state does not want to continue with the separation of trials, in that Lesiba Gwangwa and Mr. Julius Malema be tried separately, and that once Kagisho Dichabe is back, he will be able to get into this matter once again. They're saying the prejudice has been there for long enough, and are saying that this matter essentially should be struck off the roll. That Mr. Malema, we saw Advocate Helens, who is representing Mr. Julius Malema, say that Mr. Malema has duties in society to perform. They've always been at court. The delays that we've seen in this trial and the previous postponements are not related to the unavailability of Mr. Malema, for example, as well as Lesiba Gwangwa. We saw them also say that the previous postponements as well were as a result of Kagisho Dichabe, and that Kagisho Dichabe had agreed to this date for the trial to begin, yesterday's date, but he had not been in court. You heard, of course, previously as well in court that Mr. Dichabe is in hospital. Basically, they stated that he would be back in 3 weeks, but Mr. Malema's lawyers as well as Mr. Gwangwa's lawyers are saying that there is no guarantee at this stage. This matter should essentially be struck off the roll. We saw those arguments there. Of course, the judge will make his decision at a later stage. That will give some kind of indication as to how this case is going to proceed. But the two big issues here this morning inside this court is that the lawyers for Mr. Gwangwa and Mr. Malema saying the case should be struck off the roll, that a warrant of arrest should be issued for Kagisho Dichabe because he does not have leave of absence, a leave of absence from this court. So essentially, an arrest warrant should be issued.
Now, Malema did indicate yesterday that he wants to separate the trial. He wants to get it over as soon as possible because he's got a clean conscience. He seemed very relaxed this morning, smiling to everyone.
Well, since the beginning of this trial, Elvis, every time Mr. Malema enters the court, he always greets journalists and makes a few jokes at journalists saying, well, the trial is going to begin. We've been hearing consistently since the beginning of this trial that Mr. Malema says that if the National Prosecuting Authority or the state believes it has evidence, to succeed in this trial, they must get it over and done with, saying that there are other duties that he's got to perform in society as well. You would recall also yesterday, Mr. Malema, that with the hundreds of supporters that came to support him outside this court, he called on them not to come back to court, saying that instead they should focus their energies on door-to-door campaigns, for example, for the economic freedom fighters, and seems very relaxed. He seems adamant that the National Prosecuting Authority, the state, has absolutely no evidence to prosecute him in this matter. And essentially what he is saying is that this has been dragging on for too long. Of course, you would recall that this entire saga started in 2009 relating to this tender that was given to On Point Engineering. You would know that Kagisho Dichabe as well as Lesiba Gwangwa are directors of On Point Engineering. He's saying that this case needs to continue. Mr. Malema's lawyers are saying that this separation of trial needs to take place so that Mr. Malema can get this trial over and done with, and then Kagisho Dichabe himself would need to join the trial at a later stage.
What can we expect this afternoon, as soon as, or this later when the court resumes?
Well, that's in the next few minutes, Elvis. At about 11:45, we saw the judge say that he's going to adjourn for tea. And certainly, I'm sure there will be a few more arguments when we go back in, possibly another very short adjournment for the judge to make his decision on how this matter is going to proceed.
Chriselda, thank you so much for your time. That was our reporter on the scene in Limpopo, Chriselda Lewis.